There are moments in life when everything feels lost, when the weight of the world crushes our spirit and darkness surrounds us from all sides. But what if I told you that within this very darkness lies the spark of a new beginning? This is the story of Ayaan, a man who stood on the edge of despair, only to find within himself a strength he never knew existed. A journey from rock bottom to the dawn of a new life. A journey of resilience, courage, and the power of the human spirit. This is his story. Ayaan was once a man full of dreams, a loving father, a devoted husband, and an ambitious entrepreneur. His life was picture perfect, a thriving business, a beautiful home, and a family that adored him. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. It started with small losses in his business, but soon, those losses turned into a financial catastrophe. Investors pulled out, debts mounted, and within months, he lost everything he had built over the years. The bank seized his house, his company shut down, and the stress took a toll on his marriage. His wife, unable to bear the endless struggles, left with their child, leaving Ayaan utterly alone. The man who once stood tall now found himself drowning in despair. His nights were sleepless, his days empty. Friends who once admired him slowly disappeared. The world moved on, but he remained stuck in a loop of regret and self-loathing. One cold night, as he sat on a deserted bench by the river, watching the city lights reflect on the water, a thought crossed his mind. A thought of ending it all. What's left for me now, he whispered to himself. But then, a voice broke the silence. You don't belong here. Ayaan turned to see an old man. His face worn with age, but his eyes filled with wisdom. The stranger sat beside him, offering him a warm cup of tea. Life has knocked you down, son, but the question is, will you stay down? Ayaan looks at him, confused but intrigued. Little did he know, this was the moment that would change everything. The old man's name was Raymond, a retired teacher who had once walked the same path of despair. Over the next few days, he shared his own struggles. How he had lost his family in an accident, how grief had consumed him, and how he had once stood where Ayaan stood now. Pain is a visitor, Raymond said one evening. But suffering, that's a choice. Ayaan listened, though his heart was heavy with doubt. But something about Raymond's words ignited a spark within him. For the first time in months, he felt seen. He wasn't alone in his pain. Raymond challenged Ayaan to take small steps. Start with one thing, he said. Just one thing that reminds you who you used to be. So Ayaan picked up a notebook and began to write his thoughts, his regrets, his memories. Writing became his therapy. It helped him make sense of his pain. Raymond also introduced him to meditation and physical exercise, urging him to rebuild himself one day at a time. Though hesitant at first, Ayaan slowly began to follow his advice. The mind is like a muscle, Raymond told him. Train it to focus on hope, and it will grow stronger. Bit by bit, Ayaan started feeling a shift within himself. The darkness wasn't gone, but there was now a flicker of light breaking through. But healing is never linear. Just as Ayaan began to regain a sense of purpose, life tested him again. He applied for jobs, but was rejected repeatedly. His past failures haunted him. One day, a former colleague humiliated him in public, calling him a fallen man. The words stung deeper than he expected. That night, he almost relapsed into hopelessness. But then, he remembered Raymond's words. Pain is temporary, but giving up, that lasts forever. He stood in front of the mirror and whispered to himself, I am not done yet. He decided to channel his pain into something meaningful. He started a small online platform where he shared his experiences, writing about resilience and the lessons life had taught him. At first, no one noticed, but slowly, people started resonating with his words. Messages poured in, people thanking him for giving them hope. Ayaan realized that his struggles weren't just his own. They were the struggles of millions. And through his voice, he was helping others find their strength. Months passed, and Ayaan continued to rebuild himself. He found a modest job, enough to sustain himself, but his real passion lay in inspiring others. He conducted free motivational talks at local shelters and schools, sharing his story of failure and perseverance. One day, a special message arrived. It was from his ex-wife, Ayaan. Our son reads your stories. He's proud of you. We both are. For the first time in years, he felt something profound, not just relief, but peace. His journey was far from over, but he was no longer afraid of the future. He had found his purpose in the very pain that once destroyed him. Ayaan's story is not just his own. It is the story of every person who has faced failure, heartbreak, and loss. Life will break you. It will test you. But remember this: strength is not about never falling. Strength is about rising. Again and again, no matter how many times you are knocked down, darkness will come, but so will the dawn. And within you lies the strength to rise.